Today, we're discussing all of the songs on Folklore and Evermore that are about Matty Healy. Following the release of the Tortured Poets Department, we definitely need to revisit some of these, especially after the line, on Guilty as Sin, which has many people believing that there are some vault songs about Matty on Folklore and Evermore, which are her lowercase albums, that were never released, and by that logic there were definitely some that were. Number 1 is Cardigan. Taylor said on stage while Matty was at her show that this one is about you. Furthermore, we have the line, I knew you'd haunt all of my what is. This album was written before she and Matty got back together in 2023 and after they got together in 2014, so in this album she's just started to wonder what if he was the one for her. There's also a ton of Matty specific lyrics in this one. But I knew you'd linger like a tattoo kiss. The smell of smoke would hang around this long. These are all just saying that this person has haunted her from her past and this person smokes and has tattoos. This is one again very reminiscent of all the songs she has written about him where she references meeting him when they were very young, and these songs are very easy to spot because she doesn't write about anyone else like this. We also have this parallel. Sensual politics and gender roles, and you're not sure, I don't know. I discussed this in another video on all the Matty Healy songs on Midnights, but this is basically related to the 2014 drama around Taylor and Matty. He essentially kept saying that he didn't want to date her because the fame around her was too much, her reputation was too much, and he said at one point that it would be emasculating to date her, hence politics and gender roles, hence sensual politics. I knew you'd miss me once the thrill expired, and you'd be standing in my front porch light. To the house, we still wait up in that porch light. This one's pretty self-explanatory. In Cardigan, she's waiting for this person to show up and stand in her front porch light, and in Fresh Out the Slammer, which is clearly about her leaving Joe and moving on to Matty, we have a role reversal where he's the one that's waiting for her underneath the porch light and she's coming to him. There's a line that's also very much giving I'm stuck in an unsatisfying relationship vibes. I wonder where we've heard that before. And when I felt like I was an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite. Also, I just have to say that some of the lyrics in the song are clearly not about Joe. But I knew you, dancing in your Levi's, drunk under a street light. Like, this doesn't give Joe vibes. The final parallel. I knew you, tried to change the ending, Peter losing Wendy. There's an entire song about Peter Pan on the Tortured Poets Department, okay? If we take a look at this song, we can see very clear themes of just childhood references and waiting for someone that you met when you were young, but them never showing up. You said it was just goodbye. You said you were gonna grow up and you were gonna come find me. You said you'd come and get me, but you were 25. Guess how old Matty was when he and Taylor dated? He was 25. Case closed, okay? Done. He's Peter, she's Wendy. As a side note, I think this song was originally supposed to be on Folklore, but ended up being one of the vault songs mentioned on Guilty as Sin because it was too specific. The whole song sounds very folklore-esque in my opinion, especially this line. Closets like cedar, preserved from when we were just kids. Moving on to track number 2, The One. To start off this discussion, a little fun fact is that Taylor switched out Invisible String, which has been declared by fans to be about Joe, from her Eras Tour setlist for this song when she and Joe broke up, around the time also that she and Matty started dating in 2023. What a funny coincidence. Let's get into the lyrics. As we've discussed, they met when they were young in their roaring 20s, so to speak. The entire premise of the song is just wondering if someone could have been the one. The same thing as Cardigan, the same thing as a lot of these songs. She even says, this line is just the song Question summarized. It's an exact copy. But let's get into some of the more niche parallels in the song. She uses a lot of graveyard imagery in her songs about Matty, and of course, this song also features that. She also says, I think we can all agree that this isn't giving Joe vibes. However, Matty did release an album titled A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. It was after this, but still, one might assume that he's the type to meet a woman on the internet and take her home. Taylor also kind of refers to this concept in Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. There's also a fun lyrical parallel to the 1975 songs in this one. Finally, she also references Rosé in this song, which she also does on Maroon, which I think is about Matty. Moving on. Illicit Affairs is literally about illicit affairs. It's about being in a committed relationship and having these little meetings with somebody else. Sounds a little bit familiar. There's also another parallel to Question in this one.
You showed me colors you know I can't see with anyone else. Because I don't remember who I was before you painted all my nights. Color I search for since.
Finally, to finish off the Folklore album, we have This Is Me Trying. This one isn't really Matty specific, so all we have to go off of is the old Flame vibes. There's also a lyric that's very similar to the concept of standing in someone's front porch light. To add on to all this, she also played the song as a mashup with Labyrinth, which I think is very telling since Labyrinth is also widely agreed to be about Matty. Moving on to Evermore, there are a lot more songs about him on this one. It was wild when I looked back on it. Starting off, we have Gold Rush. Once again, this lyric does not seem like it's about Joe, and it confused me when I first heard it, but it most definitely matches Matty's character. He often says things that are very much against public opinion, which is the definition of contrarian. He's essentially got this kind of unhinged bad boy vibe about him, which she also talks about in her lyrics on the Torture Poets Department.
As it fades into the gray of mine, take tea, 'cause it will never be.
From this lyric, we can conclude that this wasn't someone she was dating at the time, this was someone she was thinking about.
My mind turns your life. It's a folklore. Won't dare to dream about you anymore.
This is consistent with all the other songs in which she's dreaming about him, namely Guilty as Sin. She also says,
I don't like that anyone would die to feel your touch. Everybody wants you.
This gives off the impression of somebody very high profile, high status, maybe in the celebrity world, and this most definitely matches Matty.
Walk fast, quick, blush.
I didn't notice this lyric at first, but it ties perfectly with her narrative of Matty in a lot of other songs. She keeps referring to the time between 2014 and 2023 as a time where she was kind of seeing Matty out and about and passing by him.
I thought I saw you at the bus stop, I didn't know. Running to you sometimes, ask about the weather. When I passed you, it might just have been you passing by unbeknownst to me. And sometimes it gets me crossing your jet stream.
Also, I know blushing is a fairly common phenomenon, but she says,
I don't like anticipating my face in a red flush.
which ties back to Maroon.
And how the blood rushed into my cheeks so scarlet it was.
Next up, we have Ivy, which is just about general themes of infidelity.
What would it do if we found us? Nothing fits in all your reasoning. Taking part, it's been promised to another.
The whole song is about being with your current partner, but having somebody else that you're interested in and wanting to walk away and being afraid that your partner will find out.
He's gonna burn this house down.
It is very much giving I'm in a long-term relationship and I'm unhappy vibes.
Oh, I can't stop you putting roots in my dreaming. The house of stone, your ivy grows, and now I'm covered in you.
House of Stone being her current relationship with Joe, and this isn't a reach because she literally called her relationship with him jail. I don't want to hear it. We also have hints that she's talking about this person that she met when she was younger.
Living dark for moments that we stole, begged and borrowed.
There's also parallels to Snow on the Beach and Loss of My Life in this song, which are both about Matty.
The touch brought forth and can't disappoint. I've never seen someone lit from within. I felt a glow like this, never before and never since.
The this is just one of those instances where Taylor keeps using kind of the same metaphors and the same imagery for the same person, and in this case, it's glowing with Matty. There's also a grave reference that matches those from earlier, where Taylor keeps describing her relationship with Matty as buried. Moving on to Cowboy Like Me, this one's kind of crazy.
And cowboys like to kind of go out and find new pastures. My only advice would be like, just be a cowboy. So, be a cowboy.
Coincidentally, Taylor happened to reunite with Matty at this award show in 2020 after not talking to him for like 5 years. Some people also say that she looked a little bit disheveled, and she was most certainly drunk when she accepted her award.
But I have this award and I put it in my kitchen. I wake up and I've just got this just right in my face.
Point being, it's not that far of a reach to conclude Taylor might have actually remembered this speech, since it's the first time she saw him in ages and he was there and she was there in person. But with that aside, this song is about two con men falling in love. In The Loss of My Life, Taylor literally calls Matty a con man. This song also gives major twin flame vibes that we see in the Tortured Poets department. These are two people that are very alike and are able to immediately understand each other on a deeper level than everybody else.
Takes one to know one. You're a cowboy like me.
This song, once again, is about an old flame.
Oh, I thought this is gonna be one of those times. Now I know I'm never gonna love again.
There also seems to be a very interesting lyrical parallel to Glitch in this song.
And they asked me to dance. I said, dancing is a dangerous game. Thought we had no chance. And that's romance. Let's dance.
In Glitch, it seems that she's finally telling Matty that she's ready to dance with him, and I also did an analysis of why Glitch is about Matty in my recent video. On Cowboy Like Me, she also gives hints that this relationship will have ramifications for her.
We could be the way for it. I know I'll pay for it.
This references the public scrutiny she knows she will face if she enters into this relationship with him, and this is also a very common theme in her writing about him. There's also a fun parallel to Fortnite in this song.
Never wanted a love, just a fantasy.
Finally, there are some starry-eyed references.
Bending like me, eyes from the stars.
I also want to mention that there's a song that's very stylistically similar to Cowboy Like Me on the Tortured Poets department that is also about Matty, and that is I Can Fix It, No Really I Can. It has really Western style acoustics if you look at the intro. And the lyrics are also very much Western themed.
The smoke cloud goes out his mouth like a freight train through a small town. The jokes that he told across the bar were revolting and far too loud.
Moving on to 'Tis the Damn Season. This is self-explanatory. Once again, she's wondering what would have happened with a prior romance in her life if she had continued it. She also says, this is once again a nod back to Gold Rush, where she says, walk past quick brush. We also get a curious sneak peek of what happened with them back in 2014 when she says, remember how you watched me leave. This is a direct parallel to Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, where she also says, Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus is set, I think, in the time between she and Matty broke up in 2014 and when they got back together in 2023. Just if you look at the lyrics, it makes sense, but I'll do another video on that. Finally, the protagonist of 'Tis the Damn Season also goes off to LA to become famous. This might reflect Taylor prioritizing her career over Matty during that time period because she didn't want to be associated with someone with his reputation. We're on to the title track, Evermore. I'm just gonna play a couple lines for the song because I feel like I'm repeating myself.
Well, I thought of you, I changed you.
Huh, this seems familiar. Have we seen this theme anywhere?
Writing letters, addressed to the fire.
This last one is essentially saying that she's writing letters that she can't send, probably because she's in a relationship and probably because she doesn't know if that person actually wants her back. This is also a direct parallel to Fresh Out the Slammer, where she mentions letters as well.
My letters know that I know better. I will
can definitely interpret letters in this context to mean songs because she's written a lot of songs about him. This is another hint that there's a line drawn in the sand with what she can do with this person, once again because she's in a relationship.
Cannot think of all the costs, all the things that will be lost.
She's thinking of the ramifications of her being in the relationship with this person as well, both her reputation and throwing her current relationship away. There's also just a fun lyrical parallel to Gold Rush in the song.
Floors of a cabin creeping under my steps.
There's also a very, very well executed lyrical parallel in I Look in People's Windows, which I think is set after her relationship with Matty ended in 2023.
And I was catching my breath, staring out an open window, catching my death. I had done the tiniest step, I was finally catching your breath.
Finally, if you've read the poetry that Taylor released along with the Torture Poets department, you'll know that she says fresh out the slammer and into the tidal wave, referring to being fresh out of her relationship with Joe and right into her tumultuous relationship with Matty. And here in Evermore, she happens to say,
I'm always up being tall.
Which is a very interesting reference to that. This song also ties back to This Is Me Trying, which we discussed earlier in the video. She's essentially likening her memories of this person to a film reel.
I rewind the tape, but all it does is pause. Flashback, film reel, one screen, my time.
Now we're once again getting into the territory of very non-specific songs, but let's just dissect these for a minute, starting off with Long Story Short. This song is very difficult to analyze even just lyrically.
Fell from a pedestal, right down the rabbit hole. Long story short, it was a bad time. Pushed from the precipice, hung to the nearest thing. Long story short, it was the wrong guy. Now I'm all about you.
I think she's talking about essentially getting into a relationship with someone, having a very bad history with relationships prior, and then she thinks this guy is the one, but then somebody passes by.
And it's passing by, where is the glimmer coming in the sky?
Which has been a very popular way to reference Matty and her kind of brushing past each other all these years, and also on Down Bad and Snow on the Beach, where she uses a ton of space references and calling him a UFO or an alien passing by, essentially. And then she kind of switches on herself in Long Story Short and is falling for this guy instead. Finally, we have Right Where You Left Me, and this entire song is about waiting for a previous love.
Change rumors flying in the skies, but I'm right where you left me.
She also says,
If I look like young, I can't bear with it.
which makes sense for her and Matty, but I think the song may have been inspired by him, but it's not necessarily about him. I think this song is very much just clever story writing. Before I end this video, I just really quickly want to discuss all of the songs on this album that aren't about Matty, but are about her leaving and being dissatisfied in a long-term relationship. And I think these definitely reflect her mental state with Joe at the time, because she had to be sourcing these from somewhere. In It's Time to Go, she's essentially saying that it's time to leave this person that she's been with for a very long time.
15 years, 15 million tears, begging till my knees bled. I gave you my all, he gave me nothing at all. I wonder why I left.
In Champagne Problems, she's essentially saying that she's declining this person's request for marriage and breaking their heart.
Sometimes you just don't know the answer. Someone's on their knees and asks you.
That's all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you made it this far. It really helps me out, and I'll also be releasing a video on all of the Matty songs, period, on all of her albums soon, so stay tuned for that.